Good morning, folks. It's your old Uncle Jason here, serving you up some spiritual breakfast from Our Daily Bread. So let's get into it, shall we? Today's Bible reading for Monday, September 9th, 2024, is taken from the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 16, verses 13 through 19. When Jesus came to the coast of Caesarea Philippi, he asked his disciples, saying, Whom do men say that I am? The Son of Man, am. He saith unto them, And they said, Some say that thou art John the Baptist, some Elias, and others Jeremiah, one of the prophets. And saith unto them, But whom do ye say that I am? And Simon Peter answered and said, Thou art the Christ, the Son of the living God. And Jesus answered and said unto him, Blessed art thou, Simon Bar-Jonah, for flesh and blood hath not revealed it unto thee, but my Father which is in heaven. And I say also unto thee, that thou art Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. And I will give unto thee the keys of the kingdom of heaven, and whatsoever thou shalt bind on earth shall be bound in heaven, and whatsoever thou shalt loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven. Now, that's some heavy word this morning, folks. Heavy, heavy word indeed. The article today entitled, Remaining in Jesus, is written by Jennifer Benson, SCHULDT. A fire burned Balsora Baptist Church to the ground. As emergency workers and community members gathered after the blaze subsided, they were surprised to see a charred cross standing upright amidst the smoke and ashes in the air. A firefighter commented that the fire, quote, took the structure but not the cross. This is a reminder that the building was just that, a building. The church is the congregation. The church is not a building, but a community united by the cross of Christ, the one who died, was buried, and rose again. When Jesus lived on earth, he told Peter he'd build his worldwide church, and nothing would destroy it. Matthew chapter 16, verse 18. Jesus would gather believers from all over the globe into a group that would continue throughout time. This community would face intense difficulty, but they'd ultimately endure. God would dwell within them and sustain them. You can read Ephesians chapter 2, verses 22. When we struggle to establish local churches only to have them stagnate and sputter, when buildings are destroyed, or when we're concerned about believers struggling in other parts of the world, we can remember that Jesus is alive, actually enabling God's people to persevere. We're a part of the church, His building, today. He's with us and for us. His cross remains. Now, I gotta tell you, folks, there's a lot of lessons in that. First off, you gotta understand that Christ said, I give you the keys to the kingdom of heaven. Whatsoever thou bind will be bound in heaven, and whatsoever thou loose shall be loosed in heaven. That is a power that believers have. We can bind spirits of the enemy that are working against others. Christ said, Why would you go to the strong man's house without binding the strong man? First bind the strong man, then you can go in and spoil his goods. The strong man is the enemy in all his forms. That's why we're told to pray continuously for our leaders and those appointed over us in the church, and for each other, binding the spirits of demon powers of hell that are at work against them. Now, I'm not saying going through your entire day casting devils out of doorknobs, but I'm here to tell you it does help if you go through your day to day binding different spirits that are not of God. Bring into subjection and strike down any wicked imagination that exalts itself above the name of God. If somebody says something to you that causes your peace to, to leave you, then rebuke it. Say it either within yourself or say it aloud and say, I rebuke thee. That is not of God. Christ did it to Peter. And it's not the people that you're binding, but rather the spirit that's whispering to him. How many times have we been victims of those whispers? That's why it's a good idea to get the word on the daily and getting the voice of God in your head and in your heart that outmatches that of the world. Consider the anglerfish. You know, those weird monstrosities with the little light bulb hanging off its head in the deep sea. The only reason why that fish is able to survive those crushing depths is because the exact same pressure that is on the inside of the fish is on the out. Vice versa. It negates it. So that's what we need to do, folks. We need to have the same pressure of God inside us. It's coming out to counteract the pressure of the world that's coming in. Just a simple lesson from nature, folks. If you want to know a lot more about the God and how He operates, lessons for your life, pay attention to the world around you and look at it through God's eyes. Ask the Lord, what lessons do you have for me right now? Teach me, O Lord, thy ways. Lead me by the still waters. And see what God don't reveal to you. For the word says, follow me, and I'll show you great and many things that you don't know. There's been a time, I can remember one such thing. It was during a little nature walk that I had. As I was walking down this particular path, I came across a tree that the way the colors of the leaves were going up through, it looked like the tree was on fire. But as I looked, the other trees were intertwined in around it. That tree was still growing. It was still showing its beauty, but it didn't impede anything on the other trees. And that taught me a lesson that day. Let your light shine, and others will be attracted to you, and you'll be able to be seen. Not hindering the others on their walk, but rather concentrating on your walk. For it is written, if I will that he tarry until I come, what is that to thee? Follow thou me. Work out your own salvation with fear and trembling, as it is written. Focus on God. Let God draw him in. No man cometh to the Father unless the Spirit draws him. So if you're living your life for Christ, the Spirit will do its work. And then when you are come face to face with somebody asking you a question, you'll be able to answer it, because it's not your words, but His words that you'll be speaking. You were chosen for a time such as this. You were chosen. I was chosen. If you are of God, He chose you before the foundations of the earth. Whom He called, He predestined. Now y'all can argue about it as much as you want, but that is the word of God. If God has chosen you for something, He predestined you long ago. Knew you even before you were in your mother's womb, even while you were in your mother's womb. Just remember that, folks. Now back to my little story. As I noticed that tree was standing alone, in the midst of all the other ones that were completely bare. But as I walked around the path, I noticed that there were other trees, likened unto the first, doing the exact same thing, all the way down. The moral of that story is that just because you think you're alone, that don't mean you're alone. First off, the angels of the Lord encamp around those that believe. And if your light is shining for the Lord, you'll be a beacon that attracts others. Then you'll light their torch as well, and so on, and so on, and so on. No man lighteth a candle and put it under a bushel basket, but rather on a candlestick for the world to see, and it provides light to the house. A city on a hill cannot be hid. Think about that, folks. Now, then there's also another thing that I want you to understand, and this is a lesson that I also learned on that self-same walk. A little further down the path, I found a pine tree. I could tell it was a pine tree because of the way the trunk was, but the problem with this particular pine tree, it had leaves from every single tree all around it. And it was killing that tree. If not, it was already dead. The moral of that story is be careful what you accept. Because if you accept other things that you have no business accepting, you'll lose your own self, and quite possibly your salvation. So keep that in mind as you go about your day. I pray that your day be productive. I pray that every need that you have, that it be met. I pray that the word that was sown today be sown on good ground that would bring it forth fruit of limited fold to honor our Father which is in heaven. I pray that until we meet again, you stay safe, stay blessed, and as always, stay in the shadow of the Almighty. This is your old Uncle Jason signing off.